Okay, so this poster is talking about reflexive verbs. A reflexive verb is a verb that has an object which is the same as the subject of the verb. So, a bit of an overload here, but I've an example here to show you. Ich wasche mich, ich being the subject, waschen being the verb, and mich, which technically is part of the verb sich waschen. If you look at the top of the poster, you have sich waschen, sich waschen. So the verb, reflexive verbs will always be sich plus the infinitive in the end. So, but because mich is taking the place of the accusative case, if you will, in a sentence, and because the object is the same as the subject, they're reciprocal. They're both doing the same action. So that's what means a reflexive verb. So a lot of reflexive verbs involve, for example, brushing your teeth, showering yourself, looking forward to something. So that means you're technically enjoying the moment for yourself that you're looking forward to. In the English language, reflexive verbs aren't quite obvious or apparent because there's no set linguistic marker. However, in German there is, and we'll go through an example of this. So the easiest to know is that if we're looking at the poster and we're looking at the left hand side, you have sich waschen. So if you look it up in the dictionary, you have sich plus waschen. All you have to do is place an X under the verb and make it change position. So the waschen is the verb and sich takes the place of where the accusative object would normally be. So ich wasche mich, I wash myself. Du wasch dich, you wash yourself. And I put a marker under S because the S there is optional. Sie wascht sich, he or she's washing him or herself. Wir waschen uns, we're washing ourselves. Ihr wascht euch, you're washing yourself. Or one washes oneself, or you wash yourself if you're using British English. Sie waschen sich, they wash themselves. So it's myself, yourself, he self, she self, oneself, ourselves, yourselves, and themselves. So again, as I say, to wash oneself, the idea of oneself is reflexive. So that is the majority. That is the table for using kind of reflexive verbs always. If we look to the right hand side, there's just a slight difference in reflexive verbs. So the left hand side focuses on reflexive verbs and accusative case reflexive verbs. So you don't have to worry about what the accusative case reflexive verbs means, but the left hand side is the majority, is the table you're using the majority. However, the right hand side deals with reflexive verbs in the dative case, and all that means is that when you're talking about washing your hair as opposed to washing yourself, if you're being explicit to what you are doing, there's a slight change in the first person and second person singular, the ich and the du, that you would need to know. So, ich wasche mich in the accusative case, I wash myself. Ich wasche mir die Hände, I'm washing my hands. Okay, so the difference is mich to mir in the I form. You don't have to really concentrate on why is the accusative, why in the dative. You just need to know that when you're being explicit and talking about exactly what you're washing, for example, in this case, mich changes to mir. Ich wasche mir die Hände. I've also stated that die Hände, body parts do not take a possessive adjective, so you don't say my hands like in English. You just use the indefinite. Or you just use the definite article, sorry. So, du waschst dich in the accusative, du waschst dir die Hände. Ich wasche mir die Hände, du waschst dir die Hände. Okay? And the rest follow suit. Sie wascht sich die Hände, wir waschen uns die Hände, ihr wascht euch die Hände, sie waschen sich die Hände. So, that pretty much is reflexive verbs. Very easy to do. You have sich plus the verb infinitive in en. They swap around where the verb is conjugated as per normal, and the sich goes to mich, dich, sich, uns, euch, sich, if you're using the accusative. For the dative, it's mir, dir, sich, uns, euch, sich. So just be aware that mir and dir change when you're just being explicit. For example, if you're washing your hair, if you're washing your hands, if you're combing your hair. just at the very bottom, I've just listed a couple of reflexive verbs that are quite common that you'll be using. So sich anziehen, to get dressed. Sich duschen, to bathe, or to shower. Sich baden is to bathe, but I haven't written here. Sich rasieren, to shave. I haven't it here also, but you can say sich schminken, to put on makeup. Sich kämen, to comb. So, ich käme mich, I comb myself. Ich käme mir die Haare. So, you use mich for just saying I comb myself. Ich käme mir die Haare. I'm combing my hair, you're being explicit. So, sich beeilen is to hurry. Sich Verspätung is to be late. Sich langweilen. Ich langweile mich, I'm bored. I'm bored is thrust upon me. Sich Entschuldigung, ich entschuldige mich, I'm very sorry. Sich erinnern an, to remember. Sich freuen an, I'm looking forward to. Sich freuen über. I'm joyous about. I'm looking. Sich gewohnen. That's normally used with sich gewohnen an, as in the preposition at the end. So to get used to. Sich sorgen I'm machen up there because it's normally used with machen, to worry about. Sich streiten, to quarrel or to fight about. Sich entspannen, to be excited about, to be enthusiastic about. Sich interessieren für, okay, to be interested in. And in the last column, sich kommen is to look after. Sich sehnen, to long for, to look after. Sich vorstellen, to introduce. Sich ausruhen is to what's sich ausruhen again? To relax, to wind down. Sich überlegen, to consider. Sich fühlen, to feel. Sich gut oder sich schlecht verstehen. So, wir verstehen uns gut, for example. Sich treffen. No treffen versus sich treffen. Sich treffen just provides more emphasis. And then lastly, sich verletzen. So anyway, so there are the reflexive verbs.